You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now.
Buongiorno. Hello there, I'm Joe Devine. Welcome to Tifo IRL, and I'm joined now by Alex Stewart. Hi Alex, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yes, indeed. Now today, Alex is going to try to convince me that I should care about something that I probably don't care about. What is it today, Alex?
Today, it's Johan Cruyff.
Old.
Yeah.
From the past.
From the past, yeah.
I prefer the young football players now.
Bucks. Yeah.
So, okay, listen, the rules are you've got 7 minutes.
Okay.
An extra little fun part of the game is I'm not going to tell you when that's running out, so you have to try and work out in your head how long 7 minutes is, just for added complication, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm starting at a low score, so you really got to work hard to bring me up. And your time begins now.
Okay, Johan Cruyff, as a player, won 9 Eredivisie titles in Holland, right? The first was in 1966, the last was in 1984. So that's quite a span. 3 European Cups in a row, won the Ballon d'Or 3 times. Starting to be...
Sure, good player, right?
Good player, very good player. So what's most important about him as a player is how he fitted in with the Ajax team of that period and total football. So Dutch football was basically on the cusp of professionalism. It became professional. This young kid, Johan Cruyff, comes into the Ajax team and they change everything. So they started off in a kind of 4-2-4 system like this. Cruyff is here.
I recognise this from Total Football, don't I?
Right, so under Rinus Michels, they then go to this classic 4-3-3 system, and then what we get is Total Football. And the crucial point about that, so Total Football, we'll just very briefly talk about it here, which is this concept of players changing positions, interchanges, this kind of stuff. They played with a really high defensive line. There was lots of pressing.
It's kind of modern now, isn't it?
It's kind of modern now, and the template was very much set under Cruyff and initially under Michels, and then under a guy called Stefan Kovacs who came after him. And there were great players there. So there's people like Arnie Murens, Johan Nieskens, Blankenhorst, Stoy, the goalkeeper.
Blankenhorst,
yes. So you get this kind of positional interchange, people being fluid, people being free. But what's fascinating about Cruyff's role in this is that despite his young age when he came into the team, he was absolutely instrumental in how the team played. So he was a kind of theoretician. He was one of the first people to understand and articulate, crucially, that football was about space.
As a player?
As a player,
oh,
yes.
Okay, sure.
So it was about the compression of space when you're defending. You try and make the pitch as small as possible. When you're attacking, you expand out, you make the pitch as big as possible.
Yes.
And like you said, a lot of these things are now things that we find in modern football. I'm eating up so much time.
A lot of time.
Okay, great. Let's go on to him as a manager then. So
How many points do you have?
Just 3.
Okay, good.
He takes these ideas into management.
Sure.
And here, I suppose...
Tell me I need more about the person, though,
About the person.
I need to, because when you watch a film and you think, well, this is a good plot, but I wish I cared about the characters at all,
Right.
I need you to tell me more about him as a person.
Okay, so him as a person is really interesting, and this is point 3. So you're sort of really...
Slow down just a touch, will you?
Chivying me on a bit. He was a divisive character. So as a player, he left Ajax and went to Barcelona for £1 million, which was the record transfer at that time.
Wow.
And that was because partly because he'd been unvoted as the captain of Ajax when a new coach came in. He was probably the first player to recognise his own commercial value. And
sorry, unvoted as the captain?
Yes.
How does that work?
So they had elections for the captaincy every year at Ajax. And he had been the captain the previous season.
And his other players voted someone else in?
They did, yeah.
Ooh.
Peach farts. But,
Peach farts?
Yeah. But I mean, so he kind of had a bit of a strop. He wanted to go there. But he famously once said, when I retire from football, I can't go to a baker and say, I'm Johan Cruyff, give me bread, right?
Yeah.
So he recognised that
Why
he
couldn't
had
he do that? That's what everyone does at the
value.
baker.
No, I think
Say
he
it to
was
me again.
implying that he wouldn't have to pay for it.
Oh.
Donate me bread.
Sure.
rather than
Give me free
exchange
bread.
for
Yeah.
money. Famously in the 74 World Cup, because he had a sponsorship deal with Puma, he only wore 2 stripes on his shirt, not the Adidas 3 that the Dutch wore.
Okay.
So he was kind of cognizant of his own financial value.
Bit of a renegade.
But then at the same time, he started later on, after he'd been at Barcelona and then became kind of part of the culture of that club, he started to bemoan the influence of too much money in football.
Right.
He wanted to take it back to simplicity. So he's the kind of
He wanted it
awkward-
all. He had it all.
And then
he lost
said,
some of it.
I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he lost a huge amount of money in a pig farming scam.
Why didn't you start with the
in
pig farming
the
scam?
late 1970s.
That's interesting.
Okay. So he basically has had this unparalleled influence on football.
Sure.
The way that we now see football played, both in terms of as a player with Total Football, then as a manager. He set the template for how Barcelona would then go on to play under people like Pep Guardiola.
He had a football move named after him.
He had a football move named after him, probably one of the least interesting things about him,
Sure.
actually. But, it's nice.
His son works in football.
Jordi Cruyff, yes,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right. So all of this kind of goes towards this idea that Dutch society in the 1960s, 70s was sort of on the cusp of opening out, of becoming much more liberal. The idea that individuality could work and flourish within a system. And Cruyff, I see I'm losing you slightly.
No, I'm interested in this part.
Cruyff embodied this as an individual
Yeah.
more famously probably than any other Dutch person.
Yeah. He's a token of the time.
He's very much a token of the time, and he became this kind of figurehead for a youth movement in Holland or the Netherlands at the time, where the individual could stake their place as an individual. Dutch society previously had been very conservative, very traditional, and he kind of bursts out. He has all of this talent, all of this influence. He becomes really well known. He looks after himself from an economic point of view. So he sort of sits right on the cusp between the hippie-ish 60s and 70s.
Can I draw a point here, though?
Sure.
It sounds like he was the sort of a cult leader for the individuals, the age of individualism within Holland, let's say, but also his football, very collective.
Very collective. Yes, exactly. And in fact, David Winner in his book,
In
Brilliant
this
Orange,
essay, I will.
so David Winner says that it was possibly Ajax in that period was like the first football club to almost run like a collective. This is how you get voted out as captain, by the way.
Sure.
Maybe we should do that. So he kind of straddles these two things, and he is this almost paradoxical character, kind of interested in his own earning potential, but laments how much money is in football. One of the greatest individual footballers of all time, but also working within this collective system that he helped develop and improve. And that's why he's the most important footballer ever.
You finished on 0 seconds there. That is extremely impressive. Okay, yeah, I like him. Sounds like an important guy. So, I'm on board. Good job, pal.
Thank you very much.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is where the Manchester United reporters revealed the truth behind the club's Jadon Sancho transfer fiasco, where the Tottenham reporters brought you news of Gareth Bale's return before anyone else, where the Chelsea reporters told us 3 days before his sacking that Frank Lampard was on the verge of losing his job. And you can try it now for free for 30 days. See the link in the description.